Hello and welcome to another edition of the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week with me, Craig Barton. Now, what a treat I have in store for you today. I'll be honest with you, early on in my career, I was guilty, and I say guilty in the proper sense of the word, of reeling out the odd word search. And I used to justify this because I thought, well, it's a bit engaging, it's a different activity, all this kind of thing. And crucially, kids will be learning. So I would wheel out word searches about key mathematics vocabulary, whether it be units of measure or parts of a circle was a good one. So kids would be trying to find radius and tangent and all that kind of stuff in this word search. And I'd be saying to myself, oh, this is brilliant, this, because they're having a great time doing it. And of course, they're learning this key vocab. But then I started to think, well, no, that's actually a load of rubbish because they're just finding words in a grid and they're not being tested on the definitions, the meaning, and all that kind of thing. So for about the last 3 or 4 years, I've abandoned word searches. But then I stumbled upon this one. It's not just any old word search, it's a mathematical word search. And the setup of it is flipping brilliant. So here it is, Whole One Search. And it's been uploaded by Mr. M. Connolly. And it's designed to help students consolidate understanding of converting between fractions, decimals and percentages, or the equivalence of fractions, decimals and percentages. And it's a really simple looking resource. I'll just fire it up here. And it looks like that. And the idea is that students have to go through this and try to find, instead of trying to find words, they have to find combinations, either horizontal or vertical, of fractions, decimals and percentages that sum to 1. And it's brilliant, right? Because there you've got kids having to systematically try to find things. And they've got to do their obvious conversions between fractions, decimals and percentages. But the way it's presented, I mean, it looks an innocent looking sheet. But if I show you the answers, look how many flipping combinations there are there. And if you say to kids, I mean, it's up to you. You could say to kids, there are 32 or 36 or however many combinations there are. Or just say, right, there's a little competition here. Who can find the most? Then kids are having to be really systematic in their searching. And it's quite nice, really, because a bit of logic comes into play here. So if you take something like that, 0.95, then hopefully kids will pick up that they can kind of narrow the search there, because anything to the right, up, diagonally right or diagonally left, that's going to be too big. But wait a minute there, if I see something there, that could work. And I love the choice of fractions. It's nothing too hard. We've got tenths, I think we've got fifths somewhere, and quarters. We've got great use of decimals in there. We've got some to 1 decimal place, some to 2 decimal places, and so on. So it's the kind of activity that's ideal for a year 7 or year 8 or possibly foundation GCSE group. And it just means that they can consolidate these simple conversions in a really interesting and engaging way that actually they learn something from, where I'm not convinced they do from the more traditional word searches. I always like to try and offer some kind of extension, and I mean, I sound like a broken record here. I always fall back on the same thing. Why not get kids to create their own of these? And again, I think this could be done for quite a few things. This idea of summing to 1 is quite nice. So obviously they could create their own fractions, decimals and percentage, but also things like just decimals on their own or fractions on their own. I mean, fractions on their own could get quite complex, really. Trying to find combinations that sum to 1 or sum to 2 or any given fraction. Then you've got algebra as well, collecting like terms. Can you find combinations of things that sum to a given expression, 5x minus 2y or something like that? Negative numbers is another good one. Can you find things that sum to 1, and then you can have like negative 0.5 and all that kind of thing. So lots of potential here, both for the creation of more of these and to get kids actually creating their own. So I really like this, just as a different way of consolidating understanding and practicing and developing that fluency of fractions, decimals, percentage conversions. I like it. I think it's my favourite maths word search of all time. Hope that was useful. If you do use this resource, hop back, give it a download, hop back on to this review page and leave a kind word for the author. I'll see you with a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.